Let's talk.
How's my framing? I don't want it to be too much on my chest. A little bit on my chest, but
I think your framing's fine. It
okay, cool.
compliments you. All right, so
All right.
hi everyone. Here's our welcoming. Cool. Get into it. There's Mitch. I'm Mike. Great. So,
You're full throttle. You're full throttle.
dude. So this shit just happened. All right. I had a moral dilemma today.
Okay. Breaking news.
We're gonna get to it, but that's some context. Over the last couple weeks, Mitch has given me shit off air for it. I have a thing about rules in society. You take your grocery cart back to the grocery cart return thing. You don't just leave it on the fucking curb.
Okay. Now I think I know what you're talking about, and most of the time I'm on the same page with you because most of these are pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So.
And so even I'm not sure if I told you this in the chat. The other day, I actually got really irritated specifically about the grocery cart thing because I was walking towards my car, and this chick, let's say she's on the right side of like the parking lot aisle.
Okay.
She goes from the right side of the parking lot aisle, crosses it to put it on the curb on the left side.
Okay.
When there was like a cart corral closer.
Okay.
It does. Your reaction is appropriate because it didn't make sense to me, and I was like, so you're not only not taking it to the cart corral, you're taking it further from the cart corral. Anyway,
okay.
So a couple weeks ago, I keep hitting the goddamn. If you're watching, my camera's gonna be wobbling all over the place. So I also have a thing about the express lane at the grocery store.
Now this is a pretty passionate subject for Mike here.
It just, I think the week that we're talking about that I'm about to describe, it was just because it kept happening day after day that I was like, fuck. Like there was one, like, look, if you're in the express lane, it's the express lane. It's get in and get the fuck out, right?
Get
Can we agree
in,
on that?
get out. You get in, you get out.
Yes. There's no waiting, there's no talking. You're in and out.
Right.
So
I talk though. I mean,
fine. Then you're part of the problem, bitch. But so there was one day where the woman ahead of me, I think she was like 2 women ahead of me, starts writing a check. Like it wasn't like she had her checkbook out and was ready to go. It was like, your total's going to be $20.
No.
And then she pulls her checkbook out.
No.
And starts writing the check. And I was like, the express lane, if you're going to write a check, grandma,
Yeah.
have it out, ready to go. This is the express lane. So I remember I posted that in the chat, and I was like, fucking people don't respect the express lane. This is a society. There are rules.
When you're on an airplane and you have the window seat, you get the window. If you have the aisle seat, you get the aisle. If you're in the middle seat, what do you get?
The armrest.
Both armrests. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You have the right to refuse, yes. Anyway, yeah, and then you drive fast in the left lane. You don't get in the left lane and go 60. You go 60 in the right lane on the freeway.
I'm perfectly okay, Tangent, by making this episode all about not even grocery store etiquette, but post gathering of your groceries etiquette. So anything from the cashier to the parking lot afterwards. Sure.
Yes, that's fine.
Gather the groceries. That's your lollygag time. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So
then I think it was the day after that, I went back to the store. I think this is when you first said like, well, Mike, if you're a hammer, all you see are nails. That whole analogy. And I was like, fuck you, no. So I think it was like the next day I went and I just got into the store and I was going for a quick one lap, and I'm done. And I'm passing the express lane, and some bitch is in the express lane with a cart full of groceries. So I'm not even in line behind her. I'm just like, you're breaking the rule.
Yeah.
And so I think before I even hit the end of the store, I was already in the chat going, this bitch.
Did you try to get a picture of it? I can't remember.
I think I was going to, but there was too many people around and it would have been obvious.
I would have done it. Like, especially if you had a mask. Like,
I don't,
just to like, and I would take the picture and pray that she saw it just to raise a stink about it. And then I would have said something cute like, it's okay. Counting's hard sometimes. I get it.
I have a blog about people like you. Yeah. So anyway, same day, I do my lap. I finish my shopping. I go to the express lane because I have like 7 things. And as I'm pulling up and as I'm starting to unload, all I hear is the clerk go, "Okay, let me go check," and walk the fuck away. And I was like, "Why is this man? What?" And so we're sitting there, and like really, I know when people are like 2 or 3 minutes. Really think about sitting in silence for 2 or 3 minutes in public. It's a long ass time.
Long time. Yeah.
We're theater people. 30 seconds on stage in silence.
When everyone's staring at you too, it's the worst.
Yeah, it's the worst. So the clerk comes back, and he holds up a piece of ginger root, and he's like, "Is that about the right size you want?"
No.
The guy's like, "Perfect." I was like, "Wait, this guy asked the clerk to go get ginger root?" I was like, "This is the express lane. You don't ask them to go away."
Wow.
If you need something else, buy your shit or step out of line, or either buy your shit, take it to the car, and come back in. I've done it before. You don't ask the guy to go get your shit for you.
Have you ever gotten to the front and found like a product was expired? Because both of this happened to me, where a product was expired and the clerk noticed and was going to go get you another one, or they get there. I got a bag of flour once, and the bag was ripped, so they were going to get me another bag. It's the worst. I even tried to dissuade him. Like, no, it's fine. I can come back. I don't need flour. It was the only reason I came to the store, but the social awkwardness of you going to get flour and have everyone waiting on me, not worth it. Not worth it. I'd rather go gather my shit, get in my car, go to another store and get flour than have to stand there in front of everybody. It's the worst. But I feel like you would, maybe not that extreme, but you'd be feeling the same way.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're a self-conscious person. You wonder about the impact you have on the people around you, and the thought that you can be burdening someone is a nightmare. So you'd rather not. But some people just it's not there. Care. It's not there. You can sorry, go ahead.
But that's happened to me before too, where like I think it was like the pre-cut packs of veggies. It was like bell pepper and onion or something.
Right.
That the clerk was like, "This is actually expired." I was like, "All right, like, do you want us to grab you one?" I was like, "It's okay." And then she sent like the bag boy to go grab it, and she rang it up, and she's like, "He'll go grab it for you." And I was like, "Cool." So we finished the transaction, and then I just stepped aside, and I was like, "That's fine. I'm not holding anyone up."
Can you go get me some ginger root? No.
Yeah, because like I said, I heard the clerk say, "Let me go see what I can find." When they walked away, and I was like, ugh. That's when I ranted in the chat, and you were like, "Well, if you're a fucking hammer," and I was like, "Fuck you, Mitch."
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If I went on a rant one day, because this is because you kind of mentioned it, you can tell a lot about whether someone's a good person or not. And I don't believe in that bullshit of, oh, I didn't know, whatever. If you didn't care enough to find out, then you're not a good person. People who don't put their grocery carts back, who just leave it, in the drive, in the parking lot. Oh, the clerk will get it. They're paid to get it. They'll get it. Fuck that. No.
Yeah.
You take your cart even to like the little corral or whatever. But people who leave their carts out in the parking lot are bad people. I'm saying it. I don't care.
Yeah. I've forgiven. It was one of our employees. She saw a rant I did on like Facebook or something once, and she was like, to defend myself one time. I guess she has like 3 kids, and she's like, there was one day where like my kids were going ape shit, and I couldn't get them in the car, and I was like, so I just pushed my car aside and left because I couldn't deal with it, and I was like, fine, you get a pass.
Yeah.
For once.
I'm some high school plays get a pass, but the majority of them suck dick. So
yes.
If you leave, we can argue about this one specific incident. We can argue, that
there's always the exception,
But we're not talking about.
Yeah. So, and here's a question I have for you, because, and this will all come around. Don't worry. How do you feel about strangers just starting to talk to you?
Oh, I love it. I usually love it because I'm usually that stranger that starts conversation. Not like I'll get a vibe first. If they're not into it, then I'll back off. And I usually start with like a funny quip or something like but something like this happened just 2 nights ago, as a matter of fact.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that too. So I've noticed there's always like every like 4 to 6 months, I'll just have this like encounter with a stranger where I'm just like, why are you talking to me? For instance, this is like 4 or 5 years ago, but I remember this is when the whole thing started in California, where it's like, we're not going to just give out plastic bags. You have to pay for the bags or bring your own bags, etc. And so I was walking into Vons, and we had a bunch of like the reusable bags already. And I'm just walking up, and this guy's like walking out, and I looked I mean, I looked a little younger than I do now, a little less gray in the beard. But this guy was probably like in his upper 40s to mid 50s. And so I looked at least mid to upper 20s, maybe lower 30s.
Right. Okay.
And so I'm just walking in with my bags, and he's walking out, and he just turns to me. He's like, "The fucking bags, right?" I was like, "What?" And he's like, "The bags. I forgot the bags. So now I have to go back to my car and get the bags so I don't have to buy bags inside." You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. And I was like, 100% true story. I was just like, what? I was like, yeah, it sucks, man. He's like, I'm fucking telling you, man, these fucking bags, the state's going down the shithole. And I was like, what? I was like, I'm just trying to get some eggs, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, man, people, and that was pre-pandemic. That was people were confrontational even then about the stupidest shit.
And so there's like that, and it wasn't as bad, but like you've been to Granger, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah. So I put my order in online, and you go in and you just wait in line to pick up your shit. And I wasn't paying attention because, like I said, I'm just there to pick up shit, and I'm leaving. And I guess the guy ahead of me was talking to the guy, and there's something wrong with something he ordered. And the guy's like, let me go check on it. And he walks to the back. And this dude just turns around. He's like, fucking pipes, right? They never get them right. They're either going at the 90, but then you can't connect it to this pipe. I don't speak the language, so I don't know what he was saying to me. But I was like, what?
Yeah,
it
was probably my dad, but no, yeah, I mean, yeah, what you're describing is like, yeah, that kind of, because I get it, those some guys are just that idle at 70, that kind of, they're just constantly, they're just ready, and they're fucking immigrants, right? There's those kind of guys, and they're just everything is everyone else's fault. I'm more the type, because this happened a couple nights ago. The wife and I went to the store because we were bored and we didn't know what to do for dinner, so it's like, well, we need milk and shit. Let's just my apartment is cool enough you could just walk to the store. So she and I, we'll walk to the store. We bring our bags. We didn't go back, and we're sitting there, but why did I tangent about that? It has nothing to do with the story. Long story short, I'm at the store with my wife, and we're in the checkout, and it's like end of the day, kind of. It's like 8:00 or whatever, and I'm listening to the store music, and it was some like a rendition, remix, or whatever you want to call it, a redo, a cover of the Golden Girls theme song. Thank you for being a friend, traveling down the road and back again, and I'm listening to it, and at first I didn't notice it, and all of a sudden I'm like, is that Golden Girls? And I'm like, that's kind of weird. I'm thinking it to myself, obviously, thinking to yourself. And then the cashier, she said to the guy bagging the groceries, like, is this the Golden Girls? And the guy bagging the groceries looked like he's like 24, 20, something like that. So he had no idea.
He's like, what the fuck's the Golden Girls?
Yeah, and so I perked it. I'm like, the Golden Girl. Okay, I thought I was going crazy. That's great. And so we like chatted. We're like, whatever. But I do not let the conversation slow down what I'm doing. You better believe I was buying alcohol. I had my ID ready. I had my card ready. And I was like doing the thing. I put the cart, and so I'm chatting as I'm getting the stuff done. And I'm not holding up the line, and yeah. So no, I'm all about chatting if it's convenient for everybody.
Well, so in that situation, yes, because it's like it kind of just came, it flowed. Even like there's been times where if I'm buying beer and there's someone standing there and I look like I know what I'm doing. Okay, I want that. I've had people, believe it or not, say like, "Hey, what did you get?" And I'm like, oh, I got this. And so we have a discussion, and then we're like, cool, goodbye. But it just kind of happens. It's not like this person just walked up to me like, hey, do you know where, like, the bread is? And I'm like, fuck.
I've often, almost every time I'm in Home Depot, because I go there all the time with work, and I know where everything is, and I'm wearing usually, like, my work shirt, which is not a Home Depot shirt at all, but it looks official.
It looks enough. Button-up collar.
Almost every time I'm there, someone asks me where something is, and I'd say one or two times I'll tell them.
Sure.
I like, yeah, it's out of, paint. I don't know what aisle, but it's over there. I don't work here, but yeah, it's over there.
I've done that at Total Wine before. When I used to go there a lot.
That's our trade, man.
Yeah. Well, you're right, because even, like, I wear Dickie shirts all the time, like the brewery Dickie shirts. And so I was at a hardware store, not Home Depot. It was like a mom and pop hardware store a week or two ago. And some guy's like, excuse me, can you tell me where to blah, blah, blah? And I was like, what? And he's like, oh, do you work here? I was like, no, I'm sorry. No. I'd love to help you.
It's the old Chappelle routine. Sir, just because I'm dressed like this does not mean.
So that
Yeah.
brings us to today.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So this happened less than an hour ago.
Oh shit. Okay.
I'm at the store.
Sunday, right? It's Sunday.
It's Sunday. So yesterday on my birthday, no. So we're having people coming over. You guys know we film Thursday nights normally, and so this Saturday is my birthday, and we plan on just having some people come over. Yeah, blah blah blah. We're having some people coming over just to chill and hang out and grill some burgers and shit. And so I was like, all right. So I went by the store just to grab some shit, so I don't have to do it like tomorrow or anything. And I'm getting some stuff, and I'm down like the picnic supply, you know, it has like the toilet paper, like the paper towels, the paper plates. I'm just kind of looking at paper plates, and I was kind of looking for like maybe disposable, almost like tongs. Anyway, I glanced. I'm kind of towards the end of the aisle, and I glanced at the end of the aisle, and this guy who's maybe like 5'5", maybe in his 40s or 50s, Hispanic, so kind of dark brown skin, bald. He's in one of the, but he's not like fat, but he's in like he's skinny, but he's in like one of the electric carts that you could take and drive around. Okay. And you could tell he's like trying to swing it to turn down the aisle. And he's like laughing at himself because he looks ridiculous and he knows it. He's like kind of chuckling. And so he looked up at me and I kind of laughed too. Because like he's laughing, I laughed, I was like, that's fucking silly. So he comes down the aisle. And he's just like, I feel like I'm on like Food Network doing one of those shows in this stupid cart. And I was like, yeah, I can see that, huh? And he's like, oh, and he noticed my hat, not this hat. I had my bar's hat on. And he's like, oh, where do you work? And I was like, oh, this is my bar. It's in Rancho, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, all right, cool. And then, and he's like, yeah, so check it out, man. Check it out, man. Like, he's doing the head swings.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have this EBT card. And I was like, okay. And he's like, so so this is me now. I'm making a lot of these words up because he was slurring a lot and I didn't really understand what he was saying. This is what I'm assuming he was saying.
Oh,
He's like, so I have this EBT card, right? And so if you have like $200 worth of groceries, I can buy them for you because that $200 is worth $400 on my card. So if you want, I could like, if you want to load your card up with $200 worth of groceries, I'll pay for them using my card and then you just give me like cash outside. And I was like, whoa! I was like, what?
Holy shit.
And I was like, and I'm actually condensing a lot of the conversation for time's sake.
Right.
And I was like, I was like, you know what? Thanks, man. I appreciate that. But like, I'm okay. I'm good. I appreciate it. He's like, hey, you know, I'm just trying to help you out. Et cetera. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, well, thank you, man. And I think I'm about to walk away. And he's like, yeah. And it was such a blur. I don't even remember how he segued. And he was like, yeah, you know, just like life's been really rough. I just got out of the hospital this morning, so I broke my neck. And I was like, what? And he like bends over and shows me, and there's a big ass incision in his neck, in the back of his neck.
Shit.
And I was like, and that's when I kind of looked at him. I took him in, and he still had like the tags on his wrist from like the hospital. And I was like, huh? And he was like, yeah, man, but you know what? Like last night when I was there, and I was like, so you broke your neck like recently? And he's like, yeah, it was a couple days ago. I got hit by a bus. I got hit by a fucking bus, man. But I gotta have a lawsuit going. I'm gonna have all this money coming my way. And I was like, okay. And he was like, yeah. Anyway, they shot me up with all these drugs last night, and it made me feel weird as fuck, man. Like I couldn't take it. So yeah, this morning I just left. I was like, okay. And then I was like, that's why you still have the tags on your wrists. I was like, oh my. I was like, okay. Because at first I was like, most of the time I'd be like, this person's lying to me. But like he had the incisions, he had the tags. I was like, oh shit. And he just starts going and just starts talking. And at some point he was like, yeah, you know, like I went to prison, but I'm not a bad person. I just made some mistakes in my life. And yeah, man. Yeah, like don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, I killed a couple guys in prison, but that was just to survive, you know? And I was like,
shut the fuck up. No way.
And I was like, this is really casual. This is a real casual conversation. I was like, Jesus Christ. And the whole time, I'm doing the whole like, oh, yeah, man, that's crazy. Yeah, I feel you. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, what? And I was like, and so I already did this rant on my way home, and we'll get to it. But I even told a buddy of mine, I was like, I wanted to I should have like just put record on my phone because no one's going to believe me that this happened. You know what I'm saying? I was like, no one's gonna believe this. And so this guy's
unbelievable.
And he's just kind of doing like the head rolls, and like meanwhile he's kind of like fidgeting with his feet to where his shoes fall off, and he doesn't even notice. So this woman was like trying to get by. So he kind of like moved his cart and he like ran over his own shoes and didn't even notice. So I kind of like kicked his shoes to him and he kind of started putting them back on. And I was like, fuck. And he kept going. And at one point he's like, yeah, man, like, my baby mama, that bitch. He's like, I went to prison. And when I was in prison, my mom was pimping my daughter and my ex. And I was like, huh?
Wow.
And he's like, and everyone thinks I'm the bad guy. Yeah, I went to prison, but I came back. I want to be good. And he was just going. He started telling me about a story where he went to a Burger King, and that he was meeting some gang there for a meeting, and he thought they were going to kill him because they like closed off some of the doors. So there was only one way in, one way out. And I was like, I met you 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I don't even know your name. And he just is going on at some point because like it's the picnic aisle. He like reaches up and like grabs these toothpicks, just takes these toothpicks off the aisle, opens them up, takes like 5 out, starts picking his teeth with them, chewing on them like some people do. He puts like 2 back in and then just puts it back on the shelf. And I was like, should I grab that? Like in my head, I was like, should I just grab that?
Yeah, holy shit.
And I was like, and at some point, this like woman was down the aisle and I saw her look at me and I looked at her and I think she just understood I'm going to turn around and walk away.
Yeah.
So she just walked and I was like,
yeah,
fuck.
Run.
And I was like, shit. And so at some point, and this is not at all a slight to my girl, but like around this time, I know she works out at home. And I was like, okay, I can't text her because she's not like active right now. Does that make sense? Like she's not digitally active.
Yeah.
And I was like, who? I even like in our chat, I almost text in our chat like, can one of you motherfuckers call me right now? But so my boy Mike, huh?
I don't have your number saved, so
That's right. I think we joked about that we talk all the time and we don't have each other's numbers.
Messenger all the time. That's a whole other thing. Yeah.
And so and so as I'm thinking that, I pull my phone out and my buddy, we talked about it before, Mike Ortiz, we do like the books and the sci-fi shit together. He had just texted me something. Like literally as I'm pulling my phone out. And I was like, come on, Mike. So I texted him without even mentioning anything that he said. I was like, hey, can you just call me right now? Can you just call me right now and make something up? Make something up. And I put my phone in my pocket and I was like, I hope to God he reads this. And so like it was like maybe 2 minutes later, my phone starts ringing. I was like, thank God. So at this point, all I'm thinking of is like, how do I walk away from this man?
Yeah.
Because I'm not, what was it Louis C.K.? Okay,
something.
bye. Like, and I was like, how do I get away from this guy? And so Mike calls me and he kind of, when I was like, hello, and he's like,
oh,
hey,
he did come in.
Oh yeah, he called and he was like, hey, the left phalangula, he was talking bullshit. The left phalangula is bleaking and blah, 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 blah. And so I'm just like, oh shit. No, I was like, oh my God. Like right now, I have to come in right now? And he's like, yeah, right now, asshole. Blah, 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 blah. And I was just kind of like, okay, cool. And so I was like, okay, I'm on my way. I just have to grab some beer and then I'm out of here. I'm so sorry. And I hung up and I was like, hey man, it was really good talking to you. I have to go as an emergency at work. And he's like, oh, I understand. So like, can you just like buy me some milk or something? And I was like, huh? And he's like, yeah, just before you go, like maybe like buy me some milk.
You have EBT, asshole. What are you?
And I was like, I didn't say it. I was like, you just offered to buy my shit. Like, what the fuck? But instead I was like, you know what, dude? I would, but I'm kind of on a budget right now, and I'm kind of in a hurry. I'm so sorry. And he's like, but you own a store. He said store. I didn't correct him. But he's like, you own a store. You told me you own a store. What do you mean you're on a budget? You can afford to buy me some milk. And I was like, yeah, dude, but like we're kind of struggling, COVID. It hit us hard. And I was like, so, but I got to go, man. It was so good talking to you. And I just turned and took the corner out of the aisle. Like I just, before he could say anything. I think he was like starting to say something. And then just kind of as a button, the cherry, that part is as I'm taking the corner out, these 2 young white girls are walking by. And one of them is like, yeah, and he told me all of his sex stories. And because I just kind of came out of the aisle really fast, I think she just said it really loud without realizing. And I just kind of looked at her. I was like, that sounds awesome. And just kept walking. And then she started laughing. They started laughing. And then in my head, I was like, I hope they don't go down that aisle.
I kind of hope they did. I hope they did. That'd be funny.
That's what Mike said later when I talked to him on the phone.
Yeah, no. Oh, man. So
yeah.
the ending the conversation reminded me. This is an amazing story, by the way. Unreal.
Literally, that's when I texted in the chat. I was like, okay, I have something to talk about.
So we don't need to say where exactly. Is this near where you live? Is this in the same town as where you live?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. I'll get my guard up next time I visit. Holy shit.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my God.
Well, it is right by the train station there too, and I heard it's rough. It's actually made the news, like how bad the metro's getting
And,
it like
and
yesterday.
I've realized in this area, so it was in the city over that starts with a G.
Gotcha.
But I in this area, it's kind of weird that there are weird like hard lines where it's like this neighborhood's nice, a street bad neighborhood,
Yeah.
street
Oh
nice
yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah, especially there. I mean, LA County's weird that way. It's kind of, I mean, it's pristine, and you go down 2 blocks, and then there's crackheads.
Yeah. Well, I think I told you I think we live in a pretty nice neighborhood, and last year someone rummaged through my car. They ransacked my car.
Wow.
Grant, I left it unlocked on accident, so that's happened.
Still though,
But somebody came up and went through my car. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, and I know where you live. It's a trek to get there and find an unlocked
it's literally
car. And be
uphill.
like, at a certain point, you got to be like, he deserved that one. That was no, my this actually started back in, well, I don't know the year exactly, but it was back when phones had buttons. I remember that.
Okay.
Because I was good at texting in my pocket, feeling where the buttons were, and it was back when you could it was just the numbers.
Yeah.
So you just do like the ABC, TU, NM, whatever,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
To spell it out. Well, friends and I were at the beach one day, and we get cornered. Same thing as you were chilling out on one of the picnic benches at the beach, and this housing challenged gentleman came wandering up and decided to recite some poetry to us, and it was just terrible because we're just poor kids in college who have no money, and we just spent all our money on gas to get down to the beach, and this dude's reciting poetry with the 2 teeth he has left, and by the time he's wrapping it up, he's like asking us for money, and we're like, dude, are you kidding? Look at us, we're broke, and it was way too long, and it was terrible. We're like we're looking at each other like, how do we get out of this? From that day on, my friend Ryan and I have this thing where if I text him gibberish, if I send him a text of just gibberish, because at the time it was easy, I could just get out my phone and text just complete gibberish, numbers, letters, whatever, he knows that's a signal to call right away. So that was like our thing. I would do it on the air, but I'm using my phone as a camera.
No, I think we get it.
But yeah, there's that. And then my landlady, right now, the apartment I live in, my landlady, God bless her, will talk to you until the sun goes down. She's just one of those types. If she's not talking about her woes, she's talking about all her problems and all her opinions and all that. She doesn't let you talk. She just talks at you. Sure. So my wife and I have a system where I'll say, all right, babe, I'm gonna go run the rent check over to the office. And she'll say, okay, 5 minutes. I'll say, 10 minutes. That's her signal. At the 10-minute mark, she's going to call me because you get trapped. So we now, she's going to listen to this, and no, she doesn't listen to this shit. No, but that's like her signal. If she kept track, she would know every time she talks to me at the 5, 10, 15-minute marks, I get a call, and we'll randomly be like, I'll talk to you later. Yeah, bye. And then that's my out. But it's pretty.
The dishwasher's leaking again. Okay, babe.
Yeah. But we even, my wife and I, we even get sick with it. It's like, okay, if I ignore your call, try again in 2 minutes. That's the signal of like, oh, it's important. That's the,
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
So it doesn't end. Doesn't end yet.
Oh shit. Okay.
This is what ties it all back. So I loop around. I grab my beer. That wasn't a lie. I actually needed to grab some beer. And I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here now. Getting the fuck out of here. So I'm walking
out.
Yeah, getting out. So I'm walking up to the aisles, the checkout stands, and I have maybe like 22, 23 items. I turn to go down there's 2 lanes open. I go down the first lane. Dude in the chair is in that lane.
No.
I didn't even see anything in his cart. He might have grabbed something, maybe not. I don't know. But there's someone that's like getting their groceries checked out, and he's behind him.
Oh.
And I'm like, fuck. And I look, and the only lane open is the express lane. And I was like, breaking my own rule.
No.
The express lane.
Nope. Did you put anything back? Or
no.
That was, oh my God.
I started this by saying I had a moral dilemma. This is what it came to.
Shit. You piece of shit.
I will admit, selfish move. No one. Now here's my defense. No one was in the express lane. It was completely wide open. And I looked down and I was like, okay, I have like about 20 items. I'm over the limit. I either selfishly get in the express lane and violate my own code at the expense of no one, since it was wide open, or I get in line behind this guy and risk having to talk to him again.
No, go for Express.
So I went to the Express.
Yep.
And then while I'm there, I'm like looking over my shoulder to see where he is in line. And so he's like just behind me in the process. So I actually called Mike again. And I was like, hey, you're going to talk to me. So this guy sees I'm still on the phone. And he's like, cool, got it. And so, because I have to walk that way to go out the door past him again. So I go that way. And he's like, I don't even know what the fuck he was buying, or because there was nothing in his cart. But so I just kind of like kept it. He was on my right, so I kept the phone on my right hand side. Like I didn't even fucking see him. Kept walking, and that was my moral dilemma of the day. Spent weeks bitching about the express lane. Met a fucking crackhead today, and I had to make a choice.
God just schooled you today, dude. He's like, you're Mr. High and Mighty with the express lane, huh? How about
got
this?
Me through it. Put me through it. Oh, you think you're better than the express lane, huh? You never break the rules?
It's like, oh my God, that's like amazing. That's some poetic, like BoJack Horseman, like, you know, okay, you're too pious to go into the express lane because you have one item over. Okay, well, here's your option. You can avoid the express lane and be someone to talk to. Be like the guy be a chance to like be nice to that guy. And you're like, nope, fuck that. I'm gonna.
Nope. Moment of weakness.
This is amazing.
Now,
I don't believe it. That's amazing.
No, and I want to believe that had the express lane been full, like there was a line, I was about to say I would get behind the guy, but I think I would just go pretend to keep shopping and wait till he left.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That would have been my honestly, if I'm honest with myself, that's what I would have done. Is I would have gone like turned around and just like, fuck, babe, I'm gonna be a little bit late, and
I'll just go sit in the fucking freezer aisle for 5 minutes. Like,
it depends on the store, because I can go stare at liquor for like an hour and just be like,
oh yeah, that makes sense too. Go pretend like you're gonna go buy meat, shoot the shit with the fucking butcher.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it just made me laugh, because I think it was as I was getting checked out, because there was a moment where I paused because I was making the turn to go in that lane, and then I saw him and I was like, and I looked and I was like, I'm definitely over 15. It's open. Fuck it. And I hypocrited it out.
Yeah, I get not jealous, guilty sometimes if I have 15 items, because 15 items is a lot. Sometimes I'll be in the express lanes with 15 items. I'll be like, fuck, because there's a dude behind me with only 3 things, and I feel bad, you know.
yeah. But yes,
I have a little life hack for you. If you're grocery shopping, and you're looking for an aisle to take your groceries down, it's always faster to go, even if someone in front of you has like 1,000 items and the other aisle has like 5 people, but they all have like 2 or 3 items. Always pick the aisles with less people, because because with each person, although they have less items, that's a whole ring up, that's a payment, that's a receipt, that's a bagging. But with less people, you get in a little bit faster. A little life hack. I mean, with some reason, obviously.
If you're like at Food for Less, they don't give a fuck, so it doesn't matter.
Right. If you're in an aisle with 3 people with 2 things, or 2 people with like 10 things, it's always faster to go with less people, because it's a faster process. Because you think about the cashier, they're pros, they're ringing through shit and bagging it up fast. It's the people, the customers, that are the slowing factor. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's why the places, the cheap places like Food for Less and Winco, like they make you bag your own shit because you're paying less, so you're bagging it, bitch. Like,
yep. And they're non-union, so
sure.
God, I fucking hate people. They're just.
But yeah, that was my philosophical moral dilemma today.
That was, man.
Welcome to the Fake Philosophers, everybody, where we tackle the heavy issues.
We'll bitch about shit, but the minute we're faced with an inconvenience, never mind. That's why we're fake. We're fake. We never said we were honest. Shit.
I'm honest about it. Hypocrite, but honest.
Yeah. Well, was it Aristotle said that everyone's a hypocrite, which is kind of like a general, like, I mean, everyone. What do you think the definition of a hypocrite is, though, Aristotle? I mean, do you think like people slip and they say don't slip? I mean, because that's not a hypocrite. A hypocrite to me would be someone who's like, hey, you know, don't be gay. Gay people are terrible, and you know all gay people should be killed. Also, I'm gay. You know, kind of. That's like.
So a Catholic.
That.
I think everyone is a hypocrite. I just think it's forgivable if you acknowledge it. Like hypothetically, if you were like, if you eat pork, you're a fucking bad person as you're eating a pork chop. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, Mitch, you're eating a pork chop. You'd be like, it's different.
Yeah, that's a hypocrite. That's
I'd be like, okay, you're a fucking douchebag. But if you're like, yeah, I know, I gave in. The pork chop was just staring at me with its juicy eyes, and I fell prey to it. I'd be like, all right, well, fine.
Another difference would be like if I'm drunk at your house, which has happened, and if I'm piss ass drunk and I'm saying, look, you shouldn't get drunk, it's bad. You shouldn't ever be drunk. I'm drunk. I should not be drunk. This is terrible. I feel bad. So if you're like, I think if you can, you could be morally objective, but still admit you mess up every now and then. I don't think that's a hypocrite.
Well, that's what I mean. You own it. You own it. If you own it, fine.
Yeah.
I owned my hypocrisy today, and I feel like I had a reason.
Right.
At least that's what I'm telling myself.
Yeah.
But absolutely, if I was like, fucking never go in there unless you have less than 15 items. And then today this happened, and I'm like, look it, I did it, but it's different.
But it's different.
But there was no crackhead today. It's different.
I was on crack. But
There's only one item over.
Yeah. Woof. That's fun. Good grocery experience. Yeah, I mean,
Vaughn's has been a wild few weeks.
It's been a grocery store month, man. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to remember
I was joking around with Mike when I was on the phone with him because I talked to him on my way home because I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, I don't know if I want to even go back to that Vaughn's. Like, what if he goes there and now he's going to recognize me? Yeah. I actually chatted with him, unfortunately.
He's going to be like, Mike, with the store, right?
The store, yeah.
Not this store.
You didn't buy me milk. Remember how I said I killed people in prison? Well.
I remember you used a toothpick that you didn't pay for, asshole.
That actually really bothered me the most. Like I said, I was like, should I just take those off the shelf?
No, yeah. I mean, I would at least handed it to a clerk or something or told him, but yeah,
it was wild, man.
Oh man, probably the most disturbing. And I think a lot of listeners who are listening to this will be like, yeah, it's crazy. But the toothpick, knowing that somewhere out there's a box of toothpicks,
this dude's
this dude's DNA all over it.
And I never got paper plates. Thanks. Now I have to go back.
We need to. A side note. I have a note about the. We could edit this out if you want.
No, go for it.
We should name this episode "Grocery Store Etiquette Part 1" or something. It's start making this a reoccurring thing because we can.
Oh yeah, I think it was more about this fucking crackhead.
Crackhead etiquette.
Crackhead etiquette. When you're talking to a crackhead, don't make eye contact. Don't tell him where you work.
I was talking to. I think it was either my mom or my brother. I can't remember, but they were saying
crackhead.
No, but they were talking. We were talking that I'd mentioned the podcast because I do all the time now. It's like went to England last year, and I'm in a podcast. And
there you go.
They were saying like, oh yeah, the podcast. And I'm like, you listen to him. He's like, which episode was that? I don't know what the episode was. Like, oh, okay, because most of the names of our episodes are just random lines in it. But they're like, I was like, no, we did one. It's about this and this. I forget what it's called, but So we need more description, I think, in the titles.
Fine. Fine.
What? That's not a note.
No. I tend, when we do the titles, I tend to do quotes just because sometimes, with exceptions, like if I could think of a clever title, I'll do it. Like the one we recorded where it was like, Mike hates Bohemian Rhapsody, Mitch hates the Beatles, and astrology is not real. Like that was just a funny.
That's a great one.
Because it was just so to the point. I was like, all right, cool. But then sometimes it's like. Or relationship advice. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's true. But the one you can't nurse a beer with your ass.
That was a quote.
That's a fucking great title. And I go back because I'm being a hypocrite here because I'm like that's probably one of my favorite titles ever, and it had probably 0.01% to do with the content. So,
but still, it was a good quote.
It's a great title. That's the name. That's the name of my first album when our band comes out.
Can't nurse a beer with your ass.
Yeah,
but that's what I always because it takes a while to edit it, so I usually try to find a funny quote or something that's somewhat applicable.
Mitch's list. We haven't done Mitch's list as well. We haven't done political in a while, have we?
I feel like the political we've just kind of it just comes up in conversation.
That's true.
Like instead of going, we're going to talk about politics today, it's like it just kind of comes up.
Yeah, we had an idea of where like we'd preface it with like, okay, today we're going to talk about, or today we're going to debate this, or today we're going to do that. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, we're still very much in concept. So
50 episodes in.
What's funny, and you would know this, and for some of our listeners who might not know, because Mike and I have dabbled with writing in the past, and specifically what I wanted to talk about was playwriting. My wife works for a professional theater and the costume department, and she's working a show right now that has not been published, but it has been performed. What a lot of people don't know about plays, if you go to the library or you buy a play or whatever, like a book, they are usually published. But what's different about plays is that most script publishing companies, like Samuel French is the most famous one,
Sure.
They require usually more than one production of the show. Before they print a script, they need proof that you've actually put on the show and that it's been performed. And I think it's freaking brilliant because in the show that she's doing right now is it's been performed once or twice, but the director and the crew is actively working with the playwright. So it's still in process of like being developed, even though it's at a professional theater and being performed right now. It's really interesting.
Well, I think part of that too is that Samuel French, if they're going to put the time and effort into actually publishing it, they want to know that like this works.
Yeah, and that they're going to get something back.
Yeah, because I'm sure in your experience too, you could actually read a script that like reads well, but then when you perform it, it's just bad or it just doesn't work.
Right.
And so if it's been performed, you know that at least in some level it works on stage.
I think it's brilliant, and I've like I agree. It should be at least once, like more than
Sure.
Let them work. Sure. Let them work the kinks out. I still can't believe because there's some plays like Pillow Man. Did you ever read or see Pillow Man?
I feel like I may have. It sounds super familiar.
I've only ever read it, and I've seen pictures of it. Because when I read the script, it's like, holy shit! How did they stage this? This is it's insane. Because there's scenes with like infanticide and shit like that. They're like, what parent let their kid do this shit? So it's kind of like, how did this show get performed? And it's been performed, and I'm like, okay, judging those parents, but fine.
Right. But there were some shows I remember in college where in a class I took, we were required every week we had to read a play, and then the next week in class we talk about the play. And there was a couple examples, I can't think of them off the top of my head, where I read it and I was like, this play doesn't read well. Like just reading it, it's like this is not fun to read. I'm sure visually if I watched it, it'd be great. But reading it is a fucking nightmare. I think it was
Shakespeare. I mean, pretty much all of Shakespeare.
Fair. I think it was actually one of August. It might have been one of August Wilson's plays, to where there was several characters in it were like very uneducated. But he wrote it in because like sometimes you could say Mitch, early 30s, speaks in an Irish accent, and the actor goes, "Okay, Irish accent, go." But then there's some writers who just write it into the script. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
To where now
you see the affections in the
dialogue, or like he puts like 3 R's instead of 1, so it's like Irish. Like
yeah,
it's like exaggeration. But so in one play, I think it was August Wilson, but I'm not sure. The family, at least some of the family, were really uneducated and spoke like heavy Ebonics. So, but he just wrote it that way. So
interesting.
It was very like hard to read.
Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Now performed, it's probably amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking August Wilson. But reading it, I think I even told my professor, I was like, I didn't get past the fucking halfway mark because I was getting a headache. I couldn't read it. Wow. I straight up told her, I was like, I couldn't read this shit because it was giving me a headache.
Yeah. I mean, Noise is Off. Have you ever seen the script of Noise is Off? The whole second act is a pain in the dick to read. I mean, you watch it, it's the most like the best thing ever because it's all just it's the other side. You're talking about dialogue and being hard to read dialogue because of accent and shit. But Noise is Off is so stage direction heavy. You need to see it. You need to see bodies moving in order to get it, and it's really good. But, and
I think that goes to your point though with the Samuel French knowing that this play has been performed, because if they know it's been performed at multiple venues, and maybe if you have to list the venue, they're like, oh, it's a credible venue, then even if it's hard to read, if it's the dialogue or the action, it's been done, so it's doable. So I get that. Yeah,
and then Samuel, it's just a brilliant company, Samuel French, because they like. You have to pay them to produce it. Then they'll print it, and then if someone puts on the show, they get some of the royalties to it. Like some of the royalties go back to the playwright, but then Samuel French gets some because they ordered their scripts, and
They're the middleman. Yeah,
it's a fucking great business, man. Also, having written a couple plays that I got to see staged, it will squash your dreams fast when you see your shit being performed. Because it's pretty, and everyone needs it. Because you've been in your bubble. You write something and you read it back and you visualize it and you're like, this is fucking gold. And then you see it staged and you're like, oh, what the fuck? Don't give me courtesy laughs. Shut up. But
you've been there. I've even written scripts and I'll invite people over just to do a read through.
Yeah.
And then during the read through, I'm like, why are you saying it like that? You're not supposed to say it like that.
Yeah. I had a big debate with a friend of mine, another writer. He wrote a script, and it was a 2-person short film, and 2 guys camping original, and it was just, and I read it, and it was just like it wasn't good, and I was really hard to try to tell him I don't know, and the point he was trying to make, and I think a lot of writers fall into this trap is. It really depends on the actors. If you get the right actor to do it, you get the right actor to do it. And I'm like, no, but that's in my opinion, and I could be wrong. We'll have him on the show and I'll talk to him. But
sure.
In my opinion, it comes off as kind of lazy writing to let the actors do the work of the emotional writing. If you're a good writer, you should be able to write the emotions into the character, unless you're working with the actor at the time.
Yeah, to go off of that. I remember did you ever read were you ever there for one of the read-throughs of the name of the fucking scripts, or the Danglers?
Danglers? Yeah. I was there at that one you were talking about with the dialogue between the two. And it was just, yeah.
So what was funny about that, and no, because you're right, what was funny about that is it was between Eddie and Matt. Yeah. I could say Matt. We won't keep his last name out. It was between our Eddie and Matt. Long story short, it was this fucking violent-ass mob script, and it's Matt played the lead role, who's the good guy, and Eddie was reading for the bad guy mob boss. And it's
it was a lot like Uma Thurman and Carradine at the end of Kill Bill.
Yeah,
it was that kind of thing, super action packed, and then it's okay, now the two
we're just talking.
Are square.
Yeah, we're just talking.
Yeah, so that was the setting.
Yeah, and so they're chatting, and the conversation was very heavy and wordy. And I think Eddie at one point just stopped reading, and he's like, "I don't like this. This is awful." Because that's Eddie. You know what I mean? He's like, "I don't like this." I think he said "This is emo. I don't want to read this shit." And so we kind of laughed. We kind of laughed, and I have I don't have thin skin, so I kind of laughed too. But then I do remember because even Matt's one of the nicest guys, was like, "Yeah, dude, this is fucking weird. I don't like this scene." And I forgot if Eddie was there, but I know whenever a lot of people left, and there was only a few of us there. I know Matt was. I was like, check it out. So, and I gave him some notes. I was like, this is how I envisioned it. So let's read it again with this in mind. And I forgot if Eddie was there or not. I know Matt was. But we read it again, and Matt was like, I get it now. With the context in mind of what I had in my head, he read it again, and he was like, I get it now. Because when you're someone who reads the script for the first time, you're going to immediately have your own interpretation of it. You're going to have your own vision of it. But so then once he got into my head of what I envisioned, he was like, I get it now. It's not this corny-ass emo scene. I get it.
Yeah.
Which it still harkens back to me as a writer that they didn't get it at first, which maybe they should. So that could be blamed on me as well.
Interesting.
But
yeah, there's plenty of examples of that where it's, like I said, it's a different animal when the writer's involved and can work with the actor, so the writer can say, this is what I was going for. The actor can hear it and present it. That way the writer can learn, okay, I should be able to tell this person through the script, not through the person. I think that's what makes a great writer, is the ability to tell someone that. But
and you're right. And I remember early on, not that I'm a fucking accomplished writer, but early on when I'd write a lot and people would read my shit, a note I got was like, I'm paraphrasing, but they're like, you need to trust your actors more.
Interesting. Okay.
Hypothetically, because I was doing the whole, I'm making this up right now. Mitch leaned forward and said, what do you mean? He was very confused on what Mike meant.
Oh, interesting.
And so I was getting very detailed, which you're not supposed to do really, unless it's important. So a lot of people, I'm paraphrasing again, but what I got was like, you're not trusting your actors or directors. You're trying to direct in your writing.
Well, Neil Simon does a lot of that. He has a lot of italics in his scripts. Yeah. It's like simple little, stands, sits, sometimes, which is, a little too much. But one of the scripts I wrote, I'd read a lot of Neil Simon going into it. And so I went back a few years later and read the script. I'm like, this is fucking a Neil Simon fucking, you hack.
But see, I actually kind of, to an extent, as an actor, like that kind of thing. So in college, it was a acting for film class. It was like kind of a combination between actors and directors in this film class. Or should I say theater actors, film actors, and film directors. I was a theater actor, so it's a different mindset. Anyway, and during a scene, I simply asked, and this is in front of the class, I asked the director assigned to me, like, hey, this is what I had in mind. What do you have in mind? Brilliant. And the director started giving me notes, and then immediately all the acting instructors were like, no, don't ask the director. You go in it with your thought, and then if he corrects you, he corrects you. And I was like, but I want to know what he thinks. I want to make sure I'm doing it right. And that's where I actually like in certain scripts when it says like, Mitch leans in and he says, what are you doing? I kind of like knowing, okay, is he accusing? Is he inquiring? What is the point of that line? I actually like hearing that. I know a lot of people are like, no, you have to find it. You find the reason. And I'm like, no, fucking just tell me what he means. Like,
because the other side of the what's the word? The paradigm. The other side of the spectrum of that is Shakespeare, where there's no stage direction besides enters and exits, and you have to kind of figure it out. And so you get a lot of theater actors that are really, really up their own ass because they've acted in Shakespeare, and they're like, oh, just give me a line, bro, because all the writers are as brilliant as Shakespeare, so the script will speak to me. And it's like, no, some writers are dumber than Shakespeare, and they need to put stage direction in, and it's okay. Yeah. Shit.
And I don't mind when directors give me a line reading. If they're like, this is how I want you to say it. I'm just like,
oh, really? Cool. Okay.
I'm like, cool.
That I heard is the director's taboo. You never do that. I've heard that too. But on the acting side of it, I don't give a fuck. You want me to say it like that? I'll say it like that. It's your project, bro. What do you want me to do?
Like at the end of the day, like I used to be kind of like this, but it's like, is it an art or is it a craft?
Yeah.
Okay, so to me, it used to be like, this is my art, this is my passion. But acting now, it's a craft. I'm a tool. Well, hold on. I'm a tool.
No. I mean, I know what you mean. But yeah.
But no, I'm a tool. I'm a tool at your disposal. How do you want me to say it?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
There is room for both, but at the end of the day, it's the craft that sells the tickets. I mean, you know, if it's not entertaining, and entertaining unfortunately has standards that the craft is based on, and you deliver this craft, so that's what people pay for. But
to hark back to something we talked about some time ago, Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Our artist versus craft.
Yeah.
As an actor, is he an artist? No. Is he good at his craft? Fuck yeah. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Anyway, it was fun. Like, I could sit and talk the industry all day long. Especially since I haven't been in anything in years. Jesus. But
I actually recently, I was like, I want to do another play.
Big time. Yeah, same.
I was kind of like, I want to do a play. Not sure if I have the time or energy, but it would be fun.
Maybe the Philosophers should put on a play. That'd be kind of fun. The four of us, star in a self-written play about a bunch of suburban jackoffs just bitching about shit.
Performed at the D Gallery.
No, it all takes place in the Register of Avons. But
the ultimate nightmare. That the Vons Express Lane is backed up so much that it takes an hour and a half to tell that story. You literally just wrote my nightmare in 30 seconds.
That would be kind of fun. Like, I've seen plays where they're a collection of short plays, but they all revolve around the same. Like, I saw a play once that was just 3 short plays involving an office. So they're different writers, but it was all office themed. Not the show The Office, but in an office.
I understand.
And but that'd be kind of fun to do a play of vignettes that take place in a grocery store, and all just the horrible examples of grocery store.
Everything we talked about.
Yeah.
The crackhead in the chair. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, date stamp this, so no one copies that idea, because we should start writing that. That'll be fun.
I got it down. Don't worry. All right.
Anyway,
we can wrap that up.
Yeah.
We handled
grocery store, man.
Topics. Grocery store to the craft of writing.
I'm not ashamed of the fact that I can make an instant full judgment of someone's character based on whether or not they could take a grocery cart back to the corral.
Mm-hmm.
And I sleep like a baby. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Even if they turn out to be a nice person, in the back of my head, I'm like, "Oh, are you?"
Nope, no, they're a bad person. Yeah. They act nice. They act nice, but they're a bad person. Character is what you do when no one's watching.
Boom, knowledge. And with that, we'll say goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.